I'm Emil, and I am not a developer. You may think I am by the end of this presentation, but rest assured I haven't written a single code of Java my entire life. This funny accent of mine is Swedish. This is Stockholm, by the way, and I'm working with the Liferay Gold partner called Monator. We've been working with Liferay for 8 years or something like that. And Stockholm is a great place to be based in. Within a few blocks of my office, awesome companies have been born. Companies such as Spotify, Skype, gaming studio DICE, most famous for the Battlefield series. Mojang, the 39-person strong company who just sold Minecraft to Microsoft for $2.5 billion. Everything I'm going to talk about here today is available on GitHub. And I'm available on Twitter, on @Emil Öberg, and you can always surf into monator.com to find me there. I'm going to talk about two things. First, working with tools today. What kind of tools are we working with today? And second, I'm going to give away a couple of gifts. Two tools we at Monator are using every single day for Liferay development. All right? So when you go to work and open up your laptop, you can spend your time in two ways. You have your tool time, the pink bar, where you are waiting for your IDE to start up. You're searching your documentation. You are waiting for Maven to finish. You're deploying to the test server, all those kind of things. And then you have the skill time, the blue bar, the time you use to make great stuff, the time you use to be creative, code stuff. These bars up here show a 50-50 distribution between skill time and tool time. That might not be entirely accurate, but how about this? Say 30-70, or even 10-90. There's another way to look at this time. People who are in charge of money usually calls this billable hours, or income bringing time, or productive time. I'm not in charge of money, so I call it happy time. And the happier I am, the more productive I am. So what kind of tools are we working with today? We're working with Docker and Jenkins and Maven and Vagrant. But what kind of tools I want to know we're working with today is what kind of tools? Like, let's categorize them. Using Eclipse, for example. So Eclipse, the IDE, is a generic tool. It's created to be the product for Java development. No matter if you do Liferay development, WebSphere development, or anything else, it's a generic IDE. And then you have some kind of tool the vendor is supplying. In this case, Liferay is giving us Liferay IDE and Liferay Developer Studio. Both really good tools, but they are product generic. They're generic tools made to work with this particular product, Liferay. They're not made for your special needs. They're made for the needs of the community as a whole. And finally, you have specialized tools, tools which are made especially for you. Very specific tools. And you have a few options here. If you're really lucky, someone has made a tool for you, specific tools which is specific for your need, which you can download or buy. If not, you may pay someone to create one, or you may do it yourself. Or you may ask the developer of Liferay Developer Studio, I need this function, can you please create it? If we return to the tool time and skill time debate, and categorize that with our three categorizations of tools, I think you can easily say that the more specialized a tool chain you have, the less time you use on actual tool time. The more you automate things, especially for your needs, the less time you use on your tool time. So the question is, why aren't we all using like super specialized tools made exclusively for us to be able to bump that blue bar and be as productive as we can? Well, it all comes down to the dreaded return of investment calculation. On the one side, you have time and money invested in creating those kind of tools, and on the other side, you have money you will save if you actually had those tools. And most of the time, the relationship looks like this. It is expensive to create specialized tools compared with what you get back from that. But what if I told you the relationship could look like this, where the cost of creating tools is returned in no time? And saying that, I realized that I sound like a TV commercial, claiming something new and groundbreaking. Well, the thing is, we have this new technology on which shoulder we can stand. These are my weapons of choice today. What I'm going to show you today is built with Node.js and Gulp, the soda cup. These technologies enable someone like me, who's not a full-time developer, to do specialized tools in very little time. So I told you I'm not a developer. However, I do everything which has to do with frontend. I do speak HTML, CSS, free market, JavaScript, everything like that. I create themes, templates, structures, ADTs. I do logic in those as well. And working with Liferay front-end development, starting doing that, my tool time was extremely high. I spent way too much time dealing with my tools, waiting for something, double-checking that it has actually been deployed, cut and pasting, all things like that. And I come from a management background, so the natural thing for me to do was to figure out what was actually the problem. And it all boiled down to two things. I had problems with things doing with themes, building themes, and I have problems with things which had to do with building templates and structures and ADTs. By templates, I mean journal templates and those kind of things, and application display templates. So the first problem, working with themes, I was constantly rebuilding my theme, rebuilding, redeploying. A rebuild of a theme takes me about 35 seconds because I have a fast computer and an SSD drive, and deploying it took another 5 seconds. But that meant I have to wait for about 40 seconds to see if that color has changed in my CSS or SCSS file. That didn't cut it for me, so I created a tool. And by that, it's time for the demo gremlin. Logged out, of course. So here's a site I'm developing for the great Acme Corporation. Nothing special here. A carousel, some news, Peppily Shoes, Pew's Charm School, Bugs Bunny about carrots, and a footer. So let's say I'm not too happy with this red color here. So what do I do when I want to change this? I'm on a local server right now. So I open up my terminal, and I run my small script. And then I go to my theme. I go to my favorite ID, which in my case is Sublime, and navigate to the SCSS files. Here are all my files. And as I'm doing SCSS, I have all these things in a variable. So I try to find that color, which should be, here we go, Acme main color. And I changed that to Acme orange, which I just happen to know is F6921E, I think. And press save. Go back to my site, reload it, and it's Acme orange. So what just happened there? Well, I have my small script monitoring my file system. And as soon as a file in my theme folder is changed, it injects that to the server, to the actual Liferay server. So you can actually see if I bring up the theme tool here, that it said that it says copying files, start and finish copying files, and then it actually touches a file because it needs to trigger the SAS compilation to rerun. But that happens in the background. And to make it even a little bit easier, I also made it live reload ready. Live reload is a plugin for web browsers to reload CSS without actually reloading the page. So it removes the old CSS and adds the new one. What that means is that I can do like this. I can press the small live reload button up here. Go back to my Sublime. Actually, have that in the background and change that to green. Hit save. And it's uploaded. It's done. And all of this is done with 28 lines of code, or more like 28 lines of configuration of modules already, which already exist. And it works on Windows. Node.js is agnostic to should work on Windows. No. This is Liferay. Everything I'm going to show you today is Liferay vanilla. Nothing has changed. This is vanilla.
Could you repeat always the question?
Yeah. And if you don't want to write these 28 lines of code, did everyone hear that? Well, it's all Liferay vanilla. If you don't want to write that, it's available on GitHub. So that was my first problem, rebuilding things. I don't do it anymore. Or rebuild things once every, I don't know, 3 weeks or something. So problem solved. I use like 90% of my time for being in creative mood, doing good stuff. The rest 10% I still had to use to fix IE. Nothing more I can do about that. Coming from a Swedish background, I work with Swedish government, which use IE7. I am not kidding you. So the next problem I had was with DDM stuff, dynamic data mapping stuff. But that I mean structures, templates, application display templates, to some extent data definitions and metadata, all those kind of things. So my problem with that, well, Liferay is awesome, but it is not an IDE. I know, big shocker. Well, what I mean with that is that if you create a structure, a journal content structure, or a template, or an application display template, you do that, you log into the Liferay, open up the control panel, Liferay supplied you with a small editor, and you write your code there, right? That is not where you're supposed to write your code. This is source code. I want to use my IDE for this. I want to version control this. I want to be able to deploy this. So I created a tool for that. So this is Acme Corporation again. And you see this carousel up here. This is actually an asset publisher, which gets to web content articles. Nothing fancy about it. And there's an application display template, which is a template which makes the actual carousel. You can actually take a look at it. If I log in, go to application display templates, you see hero. Here's the hero. And here's the lines of code to create that hero. Nothing special. If I want to edit it, I edit it here. Well, not anymore. So I open up my terminal and run my, I should close that one, DDM tool. Since this is the first time I'm running my DDM tool on this particular server, I have to give it my credentials to be able to log into the server. Everything I'm doing here is JSON Web Services. It's a vanilla Liferay. So I go down to create new project, call this project Acme. And then it asks me, where do you want me to save the files? I'm going to show you this, but I want to save the files in users/Emil Öberg /code/acme/DDM. And I want English. You should ignore Liferay default files. And it asks me to add a server. So I want to work on this local machine service. I call that local. It has the address of localhost 7080 and the username test@liferay.com. This is the test user, the password test. And then it asks me, do you want to add another server? Yeah, because I have a live server as well, somewhere I want to deploy to. You can have as many as possible. So add that as well. Call that prod for production. It is http acme.com port 9080. Same there. Test. And that's it. So now in my list of projects, I have Acme. So I select Acme, and it asks me which server do you want to work on. I want to work on my local server, so I press local. It connects to the server, does some things, and gives me a menu. So if I from here select download all, I'm going to show you what happens. I select download all. It says if I scroll up, saving everything to disk. So it's saving 3 structures, hero, generic article, blurb, and 6 different templates, out of which 4 are journal templates and 2 are asset publisher templates. So what does this mean? Well, if I go to my Finder and code Acme DDM, here are my asset publisher templates as files, journal structures, and templates as files. So if I want to change this hero, I open up my that free market file, which is an asset publisher. So open up hero.ftl. There it is, with syntax highlighting, code completion, all those kind of things. And let's say I want to remove this while EKOT heading, which probably should be an H1. There we go. So comment that one out and save it. All I've done now is save the file on my local system, right? What I can do is I can go back to my DDM tool. I can actually, let's do like this, find diffs. So now I have a file system on my computer and something on my server, right? So if I press find diffs, you can say that there's one, it says that there's one file which differs between local and server. It's this file, and that the rest of the files are up to date. I can actually even press show diffs, find that file, scroll up a bit and see, oh, this is the change I've done. So if I return to the diffs menu, I can actually return to the main menu, let's press upload all. It will ask me, it will say to me if 8 files is up to date, do you want to update this file? Sure thing, send. If I go back here, reload, it's gone. Let's make it easier. So you see this watch mode? So I put my DDM tool into watch mode. Monitoring the file system. Go back here. So it's like add it again, say re-added this. Save. What happens in the background is, oh, a file changed. I better upload it. Reload, re-added. So what else can I do? Well, one of the most important things is that since all DDM stuff now are files, I can actually version control them. They are source code just like any other source code. If I go to our Bitbucket account, as we use, you actually find here's all the source code of the things we are using, version control and everything. So I can check them out, I can make releases, and all those kind of things. A final example. Let's say I want to deploy everything. I'm working on tests on my local machine. I want to deploy it to a live server or a test server or something like that. So what do? I turn to the DDM tool again. Oops, I closed it. So start it up. If you look at my live server, so here I have my live server, acme.com. It's nothing here because I haven't deployed anything here. But if I open up my DDM tool Acme, select production this time. I can just say check it out from Bitbucket or GitHub or whatever I'm using, and then select upload all. And since this is a new asset publisher, and I have 2 sites on my on this server, it asks me which server do you want to upload this to? Which site do you want to upload this to? Global, or in this case, the company one, a group one. I want to upload it to the global one. Send it. And if we'll go to the live server, says hero updated 9 seconds ago. I showed you this with 1 file. I usually do it with 70 files or something like that. And of course, all of this is a little bit bigger. This is actually 4,018 lines of code, of JavaScript code. There's bugs in it. It doesn't have all the features, but it's available on GitHub. And there are people running issues, and I'm trying to fix them. And we are using it every day. So just a download. There should be a README to just get it started. And it works on a vanilla Liferay over JSON web services. I'm not a developer. However, I do develop tools. Thank you.
Thank you, Emil. Cool stuff. Greg,
You see
did you
why
see?
we won over Finland?
What?
Never mind.
Yeah, that was cool stuff. And I'm expecting questions. Yes.
Where is this GitHub repository? Maybe I missed it, but I don't know where you put the repository, the GitHub.
If you go to that, you see at least.
No. I mean the one used to
Oh,
save your.
mine.
Yeah.
Thing is, you version control your files, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's the same thing here. I can actually show you this.
But
it's a repository just like anything else.
But you created the project straight away, right? It's a new project and it was versioned already. So
Yeah, I cheated a bit.
Huh?
I cheated a
Ah,
bit.
okay. That explains a lot.
What I showed you when I showed you the GitHub thing was an actual. I didn't tell you, but it was an actual client of mine
Okay.
because we're version controlling them as well.
Thank you.
As there are so many uploads, I'm expecting another one.
While you're thinking, I didn't show you that, but did you see that there was a selection to download all as well? That's the way you start up, because obviously you have things on your servers already, right? Just download them all.
Yes.
I have a very short question. You said that there are missing features. What do you miss?
Being able to handle templates which aren't bound to structures. In Liferay, this is kind of nerdy, but in Liferay 6.2, probably earlier than that, you can create templates, journal templates, which are not connected to a structure, which are like free floating. I can't handle them right now. Being able to handle edit templates for the DL lists, but that should be an easy way. And I've actually never, ever tested it with velocity, since no one of us is using velocity. However, there shouldn't be any changes at all. The logic is all there. If it doesn't work, just send me create a ticket and I'll fix it, or push the changes yourself.
More questions?
All crystal clear.
Yes.
How would you leverage this to an upgrade path? If the hard thing about the ADTs and everything is maybe to upgrade to a new version.
New version of what?
7.
Of Liferay?
Yeah.
All I'm using is like 4 different JSON requests, JSON things. So I'm using like add template, get template, add structure, get template. That's it.
No, I just mean upgrading your ADTs to a new version of Liferay.
What do you mean by upgrading a new version?
So if the APIs change in your template,
In the template?
yeah, inside
Like the thing
your
I'm actually
coding.
writing in FreeMarker?
Yeah.
Yes, what's your question about it?
So if that's changing
Yeah.
for the future, one of the things that is hard to upgrade is a velocity template or a FreeMarker template to a new version of Liferay.
You have to edit the code.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still have to code your templates. I won't help you with that. However, I will help you with like making it easier for you to do.
Yeah.
So no, it doesn't do
No.
that at all. But this is just a tool for making it easier to develop things.
Popular questions.
So is it bound to a specific version of Liferay that is 6.2 only?
I've tested it with 6.2 since all my clients are in 6.2. Feel free to test it on anything else. I'm using, as I said, 4 things for API requests, and it should be able to use it on at least all 6 versions.
Okay.
If not, tell me.
Another side. You make me run here. What's it?
Okay, would the thing you showed us about themes also be available for JavaScript you include in theme? Do you think about this?
Yeah. I didn't show you that, but yeah, it handles every file which goes with themes, even the portalnormal.ftl and those kind of files.
Okay. And did you also play around with other things like other types of plugins, portlets?
No, not really.
But would be a possible solution?
Yeah,
or
sure.
Could be possible.
Yeah, sure. What this does, this is kind of easy. What this does is copying one file from one place to another place.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of setting the starting point and end point.
Okay.
If you open up, you'll see it says in the README that there's like 4 different paths you need to set. That's it.
Okay. Thank you.
There's yes.
I've experience about your question. We are using JRebel since 3 months and are really happy. Also about portlets and so on for immediately replace code. JRebel from Zero Turnaround. It's about $365 per year.
And you need to buy it, seriously. You can do development without it. And we're using JRebel as well, right? This are just tools to extend on that, things that JRebel couldn't do.
Yeah.
One thing about the theming thing is that you actually need to touch a file to make Liferay understand that it needs to recompile the SCSS files. So it's like small things. But yeah, if you're not using JRebel, you should, because that will bring down the tool time like massive amounts.
Do you have suggestions for variable expansion and to code completion for the variables? For example, for Liferay reserved variables to use in templates.
No, I don't have code completion on that. Sorry. It's probably available for most IDs, I guess. No, sorry. I know them.
Do you think it can be improved to, at least for static variables?
Yeah, but that's an ID question. But probably we've been looking at a little bit about we Frontend our place use Sublime or oftentimes or Atom, the editor from GitHub. We're thinking about extending that and creating a couple of extensions for that. Probably it won't happen in the next couple of months, but follow that GitHub account and maybe you'll see something come up one day.
Okay, thank you.
More? Okay.
I'm not sure if you showed it, but how do you handle templates that are stored in different sites in Liferay?
There are some limitations. They are handled as well, but they're handled flat on. I took the decision to handle it like in a flat system, so it's not any nesting or anything. There's one limitation, and that is that every structure and template needs to have a unique name, like the name you put into the actual the name of the template, because that name is also the file name, which is great. And you can't use like / in a file name. So there are some limitations, but we're working with sites on projects with hundreds of sites.
I think we have still time for questions. Just 2 minutes.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I'm available afterwards if you need me. If you need me to show something else.
Give some big applause.
Thank you.
That's great.